Well, Calgary Pastor Artur Pawlowski had his day in court earlier this week, and it was a mixture of good news and bad news. The good news is the pastor doesn't have to serve any additional jail time. The bad news is a whopping $23,000 fine, and what's even worse, a judge telling Pastor Art what he must say when he's in the public square or online. It is truly a precedented setting and bizarre ruling. And joining me now to weigh in on the Pastor Art situation is our chief reporter in Northern Alberta, and that would be Sheila Gunn-Reid. How are you doing there, Sheila?
I'm great, David. Thanks for having me on the show. I've been reading this outlandish court ruling all day. It's, I heard it read into the record as it was happening the other day. But, like you're typing and you're trying to make note of the next thing the judge is saying. So you're trying to be as accurate as possible. But it was so crazy that you almost couldn't believe that a judge was saying it. And he did say some things, because this is not exactly verbatim to what I know he said, and that'll be evidenced in the court transcripts. But even though he delayed issuing this by a full day, he did not clean up any of the crazy. There's more in there than I thought there would be.
And I used the word bizarre, and so did our legal eagle superb Sarah Miller, Sheila. She used the word bizarre. That might sound tame, but that's actually quite bad condemnation on a judge's ruling. And the reason why she used that word, and we talked about this earlier this week, here we are in 2021 in a Commonwealth country, and you have Justice Adam Germain telling Pastor Art what he must say when he goes to the social media platforms, when he goes out onto the public square, which is to give a fair representation of the government's narrative when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sheila, this is something you see in communist countries.
Yeah, this is self-flagellation in the public square. So for Pastor Art and his co-defendants at the time, his brother David and Chris Scott of the Whistle Stop, every time that they say something in any public forum, so that's social media, at a public speech where they are, attending a protest against the lockdown, they have to give a very specific script. And the judge gave them the script. He read it into the record when he was delivering his comments, his oral judgment, but we got the written copy today, and I'll just read it for you.
Please.
It says the final term of that's Pastor Art's probation, will be that when he is exercising his right of free speech. It's not really free if you have to preface it with the government's talking points, but okay. But anyways, when he is exercising his right of free speech and speaking against AHS health orders and AHS health recommendations, so not even just the orders, but the things that a health official might suggest to you. He's got to preface this. In a public gathering or public forum, so that would include the church, including electronic and social media, he must indicate in his communications the following. And this is in the judgment, so this is what he has to do to be obliged by the judgment, like to follow the judgment here. He says that Pastor Art must say this: I am also aware that the views I am expressing to you on this occasion may not be the views held by the majority of medical experts in Alberta. While I may disagree with them, I am obliged to inform you that the majority of medical experts favor social distancing, mask wearing, and avoiding large crowds to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Most medical experts also support participation in a vaccination program, unless for valid religious or medical reasons you cannot be vaccinated. Vaccinations have been shown to statistically to save lives and to reduce the severity of COVID-19 symptoms. So not only does he have to give the government talking points, he has to act as a vaccine salesman.
This is incredible. Sheila, if Pastor Art doesn't do this, and I would bet the house that he's not going to comply, does this then mean that he's in contempt of court?
Well, it means that he is not meeting the terms of his probation. And so does he go back to jail if he's not meeting the terms of probation? I'm not sure, but this judge did lay out that if Art doesn't meet the terms of his probation, that he has to go back before this judge or the original judge that issued the order, the secret order that he was found in contempt of. So here's from the conclusion of the judgment. It says, accordingly, I direct that in any event that any disagreement about the enforcement of any term of this ruling or any application for an amendment or variance should be brought back to me, as long as I'm still a sitting member of the Court of Queen's Bench. And if I'm unable to act in any review capacity, counsel may approach the Associate Chief Justice Rook. So that's the guy who issued the secret order. So, I think at the end of the day, Pastor Art is going to become a political prisoner in Alberta, a prisoner of conscience in an Alberta remand facility, because he will not self-flagellate. He will not kowtow to the government line. And that's his right in a free country, to speak out against the policies and procedures of the government. This is not the Soviet Union. This is not Nazi Germany. This is not North Korea. We are free as citizens to express distaste, disgust, and disagreement with the government policies of the day without being forced to give government talking points. We don't have to advocate for the government. Everybody else does.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.